Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. What's going on, y'all? Happy Wednesday. It's April 9th, 2025. It's kind of late in the evening. Well, not late at night. It's pretty late. It's kind of late in the day compared to the times I typically jump on, but I was just trying to keep the momentum going. Don't want to stay away too long because I really do love it here. I do. So just coming in to see what the vibes are for today. We got a full moon in Libra coming up on the 12th. So, govern yourselves accordingly. Today, Mercury is direct, has station direct, and also Venus will be going direct on the same day as, or I think the retrograde ends on the 12th, maybe, and then it goes direct on the 3rd. But I was reading because I was like, when I wanted to know when exactly Venus goes direct, because I had mentioned it in the last message, but I saw that it could be in post shadow for up until May 16th. And I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that post shadow for Venus retro is so long, because Mercury, you got about a good 2 weeks, more or less, before it gets back to its regularly scheduled programming. But a whole month ahead and some change, like, that just seems like a long time. But nonetheless, it'll still be impactful when it is moving forward, or stationary, and then back in its regular orbit, or moving toward it anyway. So you can look forward to that for your relationships. It's been doing a number on commitments and connections in the meantime, though, wouldn't you say? All right, well, anyway, let's see what we got today. Oh, Temperance. That's a beautiful way to start. Temperance card. Temperance. Temperance came up yesterday too, didn't it? Or the day before, the last reading before that. I can't remember now. But it's been showing itself a lot lately in my last few readings, I gotta say. Temperance is, yes, it's alchemy. It's spiritual alchemy. It's emotional alchemy. It's making spirit into matter. Things that are of a divine nature or a heavenly essence, well, let's say ethereal essence, being manifest in the physical form. And that can be so in many different ways, which why temperance is another one of those energies that is so big to me that sometimes it's hard to really articulate. But this is definitely about coming to a place of harmony and oneness and balance with yourself, particularly mind. I would say spirit first, mind and body. It's the depiction of earth angels. This is particularly Earth Angel Michael, so it's said. Sometimes, though, I can see it as Gabriel, because I know most people see Gabriel in the Judgment card because of the trumpet and things like that. But Gabriel, if you really think about the essence of Gabriel in the Bible particularly, was the messenger from the heavens, you know, that divine messenger that would bring the word to be, you know, of it was a decree or a prophecy or a fated, I don't know, like let's see, how else can I say it? Like, yeah, I guess it's a prophecy that was spoken from a divine ordinance into the three-dimensional realm where it became flesh. You know, literally word becoming flesh. When you consider, if you're familiar with the biblical text, with the exchange between Gabriel and Mary before she was with child, and also with Moses, I think, is where that energy also showed itself. I want to say, maybe I'm wrong on that, because that wasn't a word. Oh yeah, it was, because God did speak through the flames to Moses. But anyway, to me, sometimes I see Gabriel as that alchemizing energy, because the word is more transformative than anything when we talk about things that have no form or shape ultimately taking on such, you know, where you can go from even a thought, an idea, a proclamation, a profession that has no substance really, to the point where you actually see it come to fruition. You see it manifest. You see it materialize. You see it come to life. But either way you look at it, whether it's Archangel Gabriel, is definitely a presence of divinity expressed through humanity here. Yeah, expressed in creation. All right, let's see what else we got. Temperance. And it's also in the vein of humanity, it also does speak to being self-controlled. What's another word? Having boundaries, having exercising, what's the right word? Damn, what's that word? It's on the tip of my tongue. Moderation. There it is. Moderation. A little this, a little that, but not tipping the scales too much. You know, being just human enough, just spirit enough, that no part of you is forsaken. There's a wholeness to life experience. At least there is an aspiration to create that level of balance and harmony in your life, within yourself, that makes life more sensational, or I'll say makes life most sensational, because more or less, I guess, is subjective, but whatever is most for whomever, you know, whomever is considering it, is the point. So that you're exercising just as much of your spiritual essence, your ethereal essence, certainly acknowledging it. But in this case, with the Temperance card, there's already been an acknowledgement and a self-awareness. It's more so about it's more so about the integration. There it is. Particularly because it's easy to be human, but the integration of your ethereal nature as you acknowledge it, accept it, and assert it, is the balance in that, I believe. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else we got on that. Strong energy to start with always is the Temperance. Could also speak to a great deal of whoop. And the very opposite, I was about to say a great deal of healing that's taking place. Pardon me. But the very opposite of that is the Devil card, which is certainly about obsessive behavior, maybe possessive. Definitely a lack of self-control, limitation, imbalance, could even be addictions, as I was speaking earlier about the Temperance card being about, being a symbol of moderation. This is the total other end of the spectrum on that, where there could be dependency, even codependency in relationships or on people, places, and things, a deference of power to some other force outside of self, as opposed to harnessing the balance and harmony and trust within oneself. This is like literally giving your power. Oh, I want to sneeze so bad. Giving your power away here. And in this regard, but let's see what else is coming up with the Devil card. What's the Devil speaking to? Because that's just coming off of the Temperance, but of course the Devil isn't exclusively negative, Definitely Sagittarius energy with the Temperance. This is Capricorn energy with the Devil. Could be a contract, Could be, oh, well, with the Knight of Wands, it's definitely speaking to a temptation with the Knight of Wands now. Could be a temptation, could even be a deviance, like a sexual deviance. Interesting. Damn. We just went dark. Kinda. I mean, depends on who you ask, but the Knight of Wands is, of course, as we know, known to be a bit reckless, impulsive, in the lowest vibration, and next to the Devil, this like the worst of you being drawn out, like, whereas the Temperance is more like living up to the most supreme nature you possibly can, but still human, you know what I mean? Still, like I said, you may be just as much sensational as you are spiritual with the Temperance card, and that being acceptable, reverenced, as a matter of fact. But the Devil and the Knight of Wands is somebody that's way on the other end of the scale. Like, they're much more carnally driven, maybe a pleasure seeker, could definitely have addictions, again, deviances, could be operating in obsession, or could be possessed by their vices, or by, as I'm looking at this here, there's a woman, the woman is actually open in the Devil card. You can't see the man, and then you got the Knight of Wands that's like almost charging toward her, so it definitely could be lust, So what about it? Let's see. Maybe this is the past. I don't know. Somebody's evolved, but let's see. Let's see. What about it with this Knight of Wands? If we want to give him can we give him the benefit of the doubt? Man, with the Page of Cups, Not looking good. Not looking good. I don't like the direction this is headed. It's getting darker. Because the Page of Cups is like a child. So this could be, you know, the textbook ideal of why someone might be operating in those functions that I just named. Like it could have been some vulnerability that was exploited as a child, you know, that has someone kind of acting out of their exclusively out of their carnal nature, looking to kind of like satisfy or fill a void, an emotional void that is still gaping open, you know, or at least still very sensitive, maybe even raw, you know, get into that. I don't really like the fact that the Knight of Wands is coming toward the Page of Cups. It just feels icky to me, not gonna lie. It's like, and the Page of Cups, as I placed it, covered up the woman. So I don't know, like I said deviances a couple times, so it could be somebody really struggling with some urges that are condemning, you know, maybe even unlawful in spirit and in truth. Or it could be, you know, like I said, this is the reason why someone is acting out because it's out of a childhood wound. But let's get one more. I'm trying to get this Knight of Wands benefit of the doubt. Let's see. One more. Because there's some strong accusations and implications being made here that, you know what I mean? Let's see. With the Page of Pentacles. That's like, that could even be like a mom. It could be a mother figure. Page of Pentacles, I'm sorry, Queen of Pentacles is usually like a nurturer. Or it could be someone that would have been expected to nurture. So it could be someone that has some, like a mommy issue. And that has festered as and like an issue with women, especially with that Page of Cups. It's like, and then the Knight of Wands, it's like somebody has like a jilted, there could have been some like emotional abuse that really bruised someone's self-esteem and their pride, and it's kept them from fully developing emotionally, for sure, but also developing in the ways of the temperance per se, where there is, again, a healthy balance of your carnal and spiritual nature. Something's been tainted here or distorted. And I think it's the Queen of Pentacles because it's someone that is very valuable, you know, in the position that they hold and the impact that they have made, that has a great influence over how someone had, you know, over someone at a very sensitive time in their life. Let me get one more. So it stunted somebody's growth, though. That's what I'm getting for sure. If we're only at the Knight of Pentacles and we've gone down to the Page. So let me see. One more. one more. I know I keep saying that, but I'm like, I'm wanting to be a little bit more clear on this one. Yeah. This is abuse. Five of Swords. Someone has suffered abuse and it's put them in, you know how they say, hurt people hurt people. So this is the energy someone operates out of, like constantly on guard, in ways that they may not even realize they're being abusive or being destructive, abrasive, aggressive, even to themselves, you know what I mean? But certainly to others. Like this is predatory energy. But it could be sneaky and it could be subtle with the Five of Swords, which is the scary part, because this is someone that you may not suspect to be a danger or to be a threat, especially on sight, but they absolutely are. Like you wouldn't even know that somebody actually deals with all of the challenges that they do, because they do a good job of kind of masking it with this false sense of confidence. This maybe like a bit of an inflated sense of self-esteem. Like they project a machismo or a pride and like they project from their ego in a way that doesn't seem harmless, because it's the Knight and it's the Page of Cups. Like it almost actually seems it's with a hint of charisma and like the how can I say it, like the charisma of a person such as this, and perhaps even their appearance or how they project themselves or position themselves to be harmless, or maybe even to be kind, you know, to be sweet, to be sensitive, is what makes them like almost a hidden threat. I almost said enemy, but they may not be everybody's enemy, but a hidden threat, because you would have no idea the thoughts that really run, you know, like kind of fuel their mentality, that really fuel their ambitions. You know, someone that could run on jealousy and envy and competition, and always feeling like they need to win, they got to be on top. So much so that it's not just about having your own drive or ambition, but that it becomes competitive. And someone that is driven this way, it's not okay. They feel like other people's success is a threat, to the point where then that's probably where the obsession comes into play, because they can't just focus on their own ambitions, their own goals, their own aspirations. There's always some comparison and a comparison and a contrast to what other people are doing, particularly people that they view as competition, maybe even peers, you know, or threats in their own right, or those are the people that are revered as threats. And it sends them, you know, it has someone in a constant mental state of sabotage or corruption. That's what I hear. It's like a corrupted mindset. Yeah. Because the moment they perceive there's a threat, it sends them into overdrive to counteract it, whether it's, again, to destroy the competition, to engage in some collusion or corruption of the sort that would disarm their so-called competition, or whomever, whatever and whomever that might present itself to be. It's all in their mind, though, so it may not actually be true, but because of this distorted perception, this is the drive, like this is, I don't even know what to call it, like what's the word, the psyche, or the I don't know. Like I said, it's dark. It's dark because it's like you wouldn't even know that this person is like this. So you could think that you got a friend or an ally, and secretly, in ways that I would say they may not even want to be so sinister, they're plotting to take you down. I'm gonna move on from that. Let's see what else we got. So the presence of Archangel Michael, I think, is like, well, Gabriel is the revelation and the realization of this reality, this truth as it exists, because like I said, without great discernment, maybe even deep intuition, you may or may not know that you're in the midst of an energy such as this, maybe even a target of an energy such as this, certainly vulnerable to an energy such as this. And the Archangel Michael aspect of it is the spiritual justice, like the regulator, the equalizer, of a divine order that is balancing those scales, where there's been injustice, there's been a lack of knowledge, a lack of awareness, where there's been misfortune, unfairly. This is all being realigned. Even for energy such as this, whether they, realize it or not, to even be exposed is divine ordinance for, again, the purposes of healing and reestablishing balance. Look at this, 5 of Wands. There's that competition again. And the Page of Pentacles. The slow and steady. I don't get good vibes on this Page of Pentacles, but let me see. Because it feels like somebody that will just really like take their time, that'll wait out the competition, this will be the guy to throw, what do they say, like throw darts and hide their hands, like, yeah, like to start the fight secretly, and then leave people behind to duke it out while they skate off with the goods, or with, or scot-free or whatever, or something like that. Like, I don't like the energy I feel, but let me see, I'm gonna be fair, because this is not what this ain't giving. High vibes. just create chaos and kind of just like leave a trail of flames in their wake, like destruction in their wake. And like I said, unsuspecting. They don't even know that the fire starter, in this case, is on to the next or on their way out. And also, like I said, it speaks to the level of dedication and focus and patience that someone at the Knight of Pentacles will be willing to invest, like carefully, meticulously, into situations that, you know, are not meant to have a good outcome, but for whomever is affected, but that will ultimately afford them to come out with some profit or some benefit, you know. This is an energy of somebody that, you know, would have no problem using and abusing people for their own motives and for their own personal advancement, and not really holding much of a conscience for the conditions that they leave them in or leave behind. Like, you know, if I could burn down the house and get the insurance money, it don't really matter to me who's inside. Dog, cat, you know, friends, foes, it doesn't really matter. To them, it's about the lick. It's about the profit. It's about the come up. It's about the advancement. And of course, that's a very dark and specific example, but that's what I'm getting here. Or if there's an operation that they're a part of, you know, that everybody is, you know, it could, with the devil card, it could even be, you know, some type of underworld activities or illegal activities that someone is very much engaged in, but they do a good job of kind of keeping themselves on the outskirts to keep themselves as clean as possible, or in a position where if they need to escape, you know, they can do so scot-free. Or you involved their hands, you know, just clean enough to be undetectable by the law, you know, or not undetectable, but I don't know what the word would be. It's like where they can't be prosecuted, or innocent. Duh. Innocent, right? When they're not innocent at all. That's what this is giving, this Page of Cups, like this image of innocence that someone leads with. Like, who, me? Oh, like, you know, not me. I would never. You would never think that they would ever, except that they do, and they enjoy it. Yeah, this guy got a smirk on his face down here, and I think I said something about they may not even like, you know, or maybe not even realize how, I don't know, I gave some benefit of the doubt that it could be admissible for some, but as we're moving on, you know, it seems like this is an energy that is very strategic, very intentional, and although they might be a bit possessed by their lower nature, they're still very much so aware of what they're doing and fully indulged in it, especially if it benefits their agenda of advancement or for advancement. Let's see what else we got with this one. But the Page of Pentacles is like, but how much are you really getting, though? once again, this is another kid energy. Taking advantage of innocence, which is in alignment with what I said about maybe someone having childhood wounds where you really don't have a great deal of sympathy or empathy for, oh, I see where I was trying to figure out why is it so imbalanced. You don't have a great deal of sympathy or empathy. You know what it feels like? The word I was trying to find earlier is like sociopathic. That's what it's given. Where the root is clear if you're privy to the information of where someone began and where it all started, but they may not really either be aware or acknowledge the root of their behaviors and like the nature of their spirit. For them, it might just be a matter of doing whatever they need to do to survive or advance, to make up for voids from childhood. In this case, perhaps being materially driven to make up for when they didn't have it as a child, and have it could be a lack of energy, a lack of resources, control, attention, time, nurturing, whatever they feel they were at a loss for is what, again, fans their flame. And there's really not a lot of reasoning with that without, again, here it is, as I said before, awareness. That precursor to the temperance card, like having to really be aware of what you're given in life before you can readjust or just adjust yourself accordingly as you see fit. Yeah, this is somebody that would easily take advantage of the less fortunate, the innocent, the naive, and it's almost like that is almost like the justification, because it's almost like, well, hell, with this Five of Swords, like, well, if you can be so easily beat or persuaded or fooled or stolen from, misguided, deceived, then that's kind of on you. Like, they take no responsibility for that, it's just what it is. Let me get one more here. Somebody that could definitely use age to their advantage, though, like with these pages and knights, somebody that definitely looks to kind of like take advantage. It may be just innocence, but I feel even more specifically is someone that looks out for opportunities to kind of like connect with energies that are not so aware or don't have a great deal of experience or understanding, or maybe even their own self-awareness, and to kind of siphon energy from them or deceive them in whatever way is beneficial, which really sucks. And it is diabolical, which is why the devil card is here, because that means you're taking advantage of, you're preying on people that don't even really have an opportunity to get their footing fully. You know, hopefully if they live to tell the story, it will be a lesson, you know, a lesson learned and wisdom gained. But on the side of the aggressor is really diabolical, because you're not even giving people the space and the fair chance to have their own life, to have a pure life experience, you know? Like, pick on somebody your own size type of energy. I don't like it at all. Ooh, that was almost the 7 of Cups. Confusion, delusion, illusion, uncertainty. Don't get quiet on me now. Let me get one more and then I'm moving on. Just scouting out their next victim. It's funny, but it's not funny at all. Yeah, this is somebody that just looks for the next opportunity to get over on someone. They feel like the world is their oyster and they have the right to get it how they live. And if you happen to be a casualty of that, that's really your fault, not theirs. You know, and may even rationalize it. Here's another thing I'm picking up. May even rationalize it like they're somehow like someone's lesson, or whomever they encounter, like, oh, they'll be better for it because they learned, because they encountered me, or you know what I mean? Like that type of real, almost psychopathic, if you think about that. Somebody thinking that way, like, well, at least they got a good lesson out of it. They won't get fooled again, or they'll never fall victim in that way again. But why would you want to voluntarily be someone's karma in that way? That's wild. There's a special backfire labeled for energy such as that, where they think they, you know, just when they feel like their plans are about to really expand and they're really about to, you know, take over some shit or get ahead, it'll all blow up in their face if things haven't already, because that's definitely the season that we're in, where people thought that they had it all figured out, every I dotted, every T crossed. They just, you know, smart brains of the operation, you know, the masterminds of manipulation, and also, like I said, having their own creed of justification for why they do what they do and why it's fair for them to do so. Okay. All right. We'll see how that's. I wonder how that's working out, really and truly. Nine of Wands. Not so great. Not so hot. Because it can't. Not in that frequency. This is definitely the energy of somebody's actions catching up to them. I ain't even going to dwell on it. I don't even want to spend that much time on this energy, and I already spent too much. But it's been kind of interesting, not gonna lie. That was almost the Four of Swords. Somebody being completely immobilized or disabled. In this sense, not always, but in this sense, yes. Maybe even laid to rest or on their way to it if they don't chill the F out. And here's the Lover's card. What's with that? Because I feel something. Let me see. Because I was thinking earlier when I was looking at the Devil, I was shuffling, I was thinking to myself like somebody feeling stuck in this dynamic that they have pledged themselves to. So let's see, what's this Lovers about? And again, choices as well. Like somebody really, their choices and their actions now backfiring or coming back to haunt them. But let's see. I don't know what that was. Yep, Queen of Swords. First of all, that's confirming. But second of all, it's like, what I'm picking up is like being in a partnership that's just bound for breakup or bound to kind of like be at odds or be, and I know that's crazy to see that like that, but like the Queen of Swords can be like the divorcee, you know, to, especially to the King of Swords, divorcee, or however you say it. And she's facing the man, as the, on the other side, it was the man facing the woman. She's facing the man. So like, what's she about to do with them swords? Cut his balls off? You know what I mean? It's like some type of reaping here that is inevitable or underway. And again, like here's the poetic justice of it all. It's what I was saying about this energy, how they're very unsuspecting. They don't look like the type that would cause harm or be deceptive. And it feels like somebody meeting their match, like thinking they may have found a safe space or at least some type of flourishing dynamic or partnership. And it actually, and also finding someone honest, you know, in some way. But I just don't get that vibe from, let me get another one. I know. Let me get another one, but I feel like it's an unsuspecting, I mean, even if the Queen of Swords, that could even be karmic, you know, to actually encounter someone who is so forthright and so clear-minded and clear about what they perceive that you can't really get over on them. So you kind of get exposed in that way as well. So either way it's looking here, and the man, of course, in the Lovers is naked. It's given something about being exposed, but it's like a righteous exposure because it's about that time, you know. That's how the scales are being balanced, but it's stripping somebody down from the power and influence that ultimately has been funding their self-esteem and making them just as vulnerable, or this is something that has the potential to make somebody just as vulnerable as the people that they've encountered over seasons of their life. And it's the Queen of Swords because it's like the one you would least suspect would dress you down. You know what I mean? The one you would least suspect to cut you off, you know, cut you off at the knees or whatever, like to cut your pride down the sides, whatever it is that she's doing with that sword. It's the one that they would have least suspected to do it that is, you know, executing that order. Yep. making somebody feel small. And wow, with the Hierophant here. Yep. Like executing like a judgment is what I'm getting. And like I said, it's righteous, you know. It's fair. It's honest. Let me get one more. Close this sequence out. Wow. Yep, look at that. And that was the energy I was sensing when I was looking at the Five of Swords, because this is the more volatile card here when we're talking about deception and being sneaky and you know, doing things with the intention to cause harm, for sure. This is the exposure here. It's showing somebody who they really are, finally, by way of, because otherwise it's somebody that's been used to getting away with their dirty deeds. And like I said, they've already established some creed of consciousness or lack of conscience that doesn't allow them to feel sorry for what they do. Like, it could be someone that's like, well, like I said, hell, if they let me get away with it, then shame on you. But also on account of how they've been able to profit or prosper or advance, it's kind of been enough proof to justify that they must be right for their methods must be right, you know, or must be sanctioned in some way, shape, or form. But the only way to kind of put a stop to that madness is for someone, first of all, to see themselves in their circumstances. And in that case, is someone that like actually now having to face the music of what the things that they've created by their choices and actions, and not just scapegoat or get away or leave others to hold the bag. And also for there to almost be like a stripping away of the advantages and advancements that someone, that probably is what the Hierophant is, like this pedestal that someone has built for themselves falsely, that now, you know, gets to be that is challenged by the truth of who they actually are versus the facade that they've been selling of themselves and promoting of themselves. And that happens at a spiritual level first and foremost, always. And, you know, when you don't heed the call and respond to it accordingly, it always manifests. There it is, back to one with the Temperance card. It always manifests in a physical judgment or like a reckoning of sorts, where you face the judge in a spiritual form, and that was Archangel Michael in the beginning, as again, Gabriel probably given the message, you know, given the proclamation, like whispering the foreshadowing of the future to someone, and whether or not you hear it is up to you. But then Archangel Michael coming to carry out the judgment or the sentence, or, you know what I mean, like it now being actualized in the physical form. And now this is an actual judge in the Hierophant, where someone could literally be getting caught up in the justice system for things that may or may not be the worst of their crimes. You know what I mean? Like it happens that way. It could be something real small and simple that somebody gets caught up for, and it ends up capturing the guilt of all of their offenses all in one. But or if somebody could get caught up for something they actually didn't really do. Here it is again, maybe some collusion with other people that somebody is getting wrapped up in, of which maybe they weren't all that guilty, but they end up taking the rap, or the hammer gets brought down real hard and it almost seems those types of situations where it's like, damn, somebody got all that time just for that, or they got caught like a Diddy situation where you don't really know what's true and what's false anymore. Like what allegations are real, what's trumped up, what's just people trying to get paid, and or what's things that really did happen. But he's sitting in jail nonetheless, waiting on his day in court. And it could be that the things that actually do convict him are like small, in comparison to what, like, it's like when you like, they gonna get me on this when I really did X, Y, and Z and got away with it. But that's how the universe works. It don't miss, man's court, man's judgment may falter, may miss a spot, but one way or another, you're gonna pay that karmic debt no matter how it comes back around. It'll never be lost on the spirit. It might look from the outside looking in that it's unfair or unbalanced, but with the temperance leading this message, and now me realizing it was a completely different, like it was a much more alarming resonance than what I was giving it credit for at first. That's like, Judgment Day is here, and it ain't no escaping it. So, wow, and this came back up, the Four of Swords. I said it's somebody being laid to rest. There, if not actually, God forbid, this is just somebody really not being able to wiggle their way out of their fate at this point anymore, where they have been before. May have been able to blame shift their guilt onto others, may have been able to leave others holding the bag, blow up the spot, throw others under the bus, wash their hands clean of situations that they were elbow deep in, whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's like somebody's now having to fall on their sword, and it's the sword of truth. It ain't no dodging that, and ain't no can't deceive the truth for what it is. Yeah, and this is like trying to protect yourself at this point, where there really is not much to, where somebody might, here's the thing, somebody might have the world, it seems, against them now at this point, and wow, what's this? Karma, Wheel of Fortune. Man. And that also came up yesterday, but in a completely different capacity than it is today. Yeah, somebody's having to really pay the piper now. Some people are having to really, like, what do you have to say for yourself? And it still wouldn't be enough. There's no excuse great enough, is what I'm getting for this card right now, that would truly secure someone's innocence. It's like, ain't no way, with all this coming at you, you ain't done nothing wrong. You may not have done all the things they said, back to the Diddy thing, right? But there's a reason that you're, on trial here, and the reason why there's a judgment and a verdict that's been established. There's a reason why there is, what do you call it? What's the word? A sentence, that's been decreed. Not because of your innocence, is quite the opposite, that regardless of the face value of why it is you're finally meeting that judgment, it's still just a matter of the justification of law and order in spirit and in truth, the rebalancing of what has been unjustified, particularly by someone's own choices and actions. And to me, with the Four of Swords, it's like someone not having any fair excuse, like no believable excuse that they can offer at this point that would change the situation in their favor. Because, like I said, like the divine sees all. And it's somebody at the Seven of Swords that is used to being able to talk their way out of anything. You know, literally wiggle their way out of every sticky situation, but now there's just no way. The evidence is way too condemning. So didn't really expect that type of reading today, but I guess I did start off talking about, you know, Venus about to go direct, and we're having the full moon in Libra. You know, Libra is definitely justice, you know. So those scales got to be balanced, as above, so below. One way or another, the universe will balance the energies. It could take a long time to get there, but it's just the natural impulse of, you know, cosmic order to always be rebalancing itself. So, but anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.